What's up everyone, MeGP2 here. In today's video, we have some battles submitted to the channel by the one and only kingperior 464. Now, kingperior here is running a level 50 regular golem in the Open Master League. Now, this is something I personally considered doing, and I did just get a 15-15-14 purified graveler, but kingperior appears to have beat me to it, and they were kind enough to send the battles, so let's get to them. Alright, so into the first battle, and we lead Dialga into the mirror. Now, this is a slightly underleveled Dialga, and I can't fault them for that, because getting Candy XLs for legendaries is really difficult. I actually don't have a single level 50 legendary for the Master League, so, I use, a slightly underleveled Groudon sometimes, but that's about it. So, you can't really fault them for that. Anyways, a lot just happened. Golem just got completely destroyed, and now we're going to send in our own Dialga. Now, we can easily tank a Surf, and I don't think we're going to be able to farm down here, just because Surfs will be able to add up eventually, so we actually commit a shield on this one. Now, if the opponent tries to go for another Surf, we're going to actually throw an Iron Head. I don't think this KOs, but there's a chance they might shield it, trying to get another Surf off. They do no-shield it, and we do end up getting a farm down. Now, they send in their own Dialga, and we just pivot into Landorus. Now, they're staying in, so they either want to grab a shield, or they're just trying, or they just have nothing in the back that's good. But in the back, it's Togekiss, and Togekiss is not what you want to see with Landorus, because it's kind of a baiting game when there are shields in play. Thankfully, we do actually end up getting the shield with the Sansir, and now we can go for Stone Edge. Stone Edge gonna hit for some pretty okay damage, and now we actually almost go for a full farm down, but we do end up winning CMP here. Now, we can actually undercharge the Sansir, and this play is going to be maybe able to get us a win, as I go for a Flamethrower, but we send in Dialga, and we get a couple extra Dragon Breaths, and that lets us make a Draco. So kingperior playing absolutely amazing, and now going for the Draco that will easily take out the Dialga, and they do take that game. We see a Melmetal lead in the next battle. Now, we do have two better responses in the back, so I'm expecting a superpower catch or something like that, but we're actually just going to let them go for the move. If this is a superpower, they'll probably immediately switch out, and it is a superpower, and they're staying in. Now, we do now go for the catch, and we do get the catch, which is perfect. So we're going to be able to catch a superpower, going to do basically nothing, and they might try and catch a Sansir or something, but they actually don't. They stayed in. So they're either really, really weak, or they made a misplay. They let the Sansir go, and they send in Togekiss. Now, frankly, I'm not trying to, coach them, but, typically you would want to just send in Togekiss immediately, because now Landorus is, I think has, 1 or 2 extra energy or something like that. It's not a lot, but it could make a difference. And they do call the Sansir bait, unfortunately, but now we can go for a Stone Edge, and they might have tried to call it there, but they got taken out. Now, they send in Kyogre, and with shields in play and a pretty low health Dialga, this is not good, because Golem just kind of gets fully farmed down by Kyogre, but Golem does make one move, so as long as we can go for trying to get their shields, this game is still possible. So we actually get both shields, and now we just send in Golem, and they should just try and go for a full farm down here, but they do end up throwing a move. It doesn't matter either way. They actually full send the Origin Pulse that would probably take out Golem and its entire extended family, but now we're going to be able to go for a Stone Edge. So even if they hadn't thrown the Origin Pulse, they would not have had that extra turn they would have gotten from not throwing, would not have taken us out. So either way, we take that game. We see another Melmetal lead in the next battle, and Melmetal is just kind of annoying. Melmetal, I do have to run it sometimes just because I need an answer to fairy types, but I want something besides Melmetal that's an answer to fairy types. And there are some things I'm working on it. And yes, I know I have a Clodsire, but that's very RPS dependent, so Clodsire is not something I'm just going to be running in my Master League team all the time. Regardless, the opponent sends in Togekiss, they do shield the Sansir bait. Now we get to go for a Stone Edge. Now this is going to hit for heavy damage. Unfortunately, does not take him out. However, if they want to go for a full farm down, they will not be able to. So they have to throw an Ancient Power, and Landorus is able to get a shield advantage, which is fine. Now, sending in the Dialga here gives a lot of farm, and now we basically leave with almost a Draco. So now the Melmetal, even though Melmetal's pretty bulky and resists Draco, it's Draco. So we're going to be able to send in Golem, and Golem is going to be answered with Giratina Origin. Now, I think 2 Earthquakes come close to KOing. I'm not entirely sure, and it looks like they will. Now, we are going to no-shield here, calling a bait, and the opponent does bait, so absolutely insane play. And frankly, the Mudshot damage probably has gotten them into Stone Edge range, so now we can go for the Stone Edge, and this should probably get a shield, honestly. Stone Edge does grab the shield. Now, the opponent, they can go for another move. I don't think Ominous Wind KOs here anyways. They go for it, though, probably trying to farm down, but Golem tanks it. Now we can just go for a Stone Edge, and this should take him out because of the added Mudshot damage. Now, they can send in the Melmetal, but we're going to send in the Dialga. And now, to take us out, they have to double debuff themselves. So they can go for 1 superpower, they still never farm down, so they have to go for another superpower. We're letting this go too, just thinking that Golem can probably farm down. They should go for Thunderbolt though, so they don't get debuffed, but damage is done, we fully farm down, and we take that game. We see a Mamoswine lead in the next battle. Now, if they can land a high horsepower, I think they just win this, but since we have shields in play, it's not that bad. So we're going to immediately shield, and this time the opponent actually does go for the high horsepower. So now we can try for a full farm down. I don't think we'll get it, and yeah, we just end up throwing here because now we either get a shield back, and then maybe we can shield in return, but no, we're just gonna catch the move. I don't think they could bait here because I don't think they make it to 2 moves anyway, so they are just going to full send the high horsepower. And the thing is, the Powder Snow damage is going to do a ton, and we don't get a farm down. Now we have to shield because we want to preserve our energy, which is unfortunate, but it's kind of how GBL works sometimes. Now, they send in a Giratina Origin, and we're going to be able to go for several Sandseers. Now, getting it off immediately is imperative here because now the Shadow Claws are going to be doing less damage, and getting this one off means they're going to probably be doing even less. Meaning that if they want to go for full farm down, they have to tank a 3rd Sandseer. Now that's amazing for us because this probably gets a shield as they could get sniped by Dragon Breath. Now we just actually hard pivot Golem. So now they can go for a move, but they're triple debuff. Shadow Ball? That did not do much. Now they can go for another one. Still not going to take us out. It's not even going to threaten us. They can go for the Shadow Ball. It does not take us out. And then they send in Metagross. Now this is probably where having the Shadow Golem would be interesting, because Earthquake might KO. Okay, it definitely would. They do get a farm down, though, which is not the best, but we can send in Landorus, because that guarantees the Simul KO. Now, they can send in Giratina, but we just get a full farm down, and we do take that game. Good lead in the next battle. We lead Dialga into Dragonite. Now, this is also an interesting lead, though, so they can land a superpower. They might actually be able to just flip this matchup, but I don't even think that is farming up to a superpower. Now, I might be off on my counts, but that is just a Dragon Claw. Now, we're going to just farm up a lot more, and we try and catch a Dragon Claw, but now the opponent can just go for a superpower. This is unfortunate, and we probably still don't farm down, but superpower hits for pretty heavy damage, and they send in Gyarados. So, thankfully, we at least get a shield. Also, Landorus doesn't really like to see Gyarados either. Stone Edge is still good coverage, but still not the best thing for your Landorus to see. So thankfully we did bait it out. Now they can go for a crunch here. I'm not sure if it KOs. They do go for the crunch, and no debuff thankfully. And we're going to be able to go for an Iron Head. And if they shield this, we probably still make it to a Draco. So they can shield it, and now we can farm up, and they probably had to try to go for an Aqua Tail here. I think it was actually CMP. But now, also Aqua Tail probably doesn't KO, but we can go for the Draco. Draco takes out Gyarados. We send in Landorus. Now, they have a Mewtwo in the back, and the little extra Dragon Breath damage they got could actually end up losing this matchup, just because it does enough damage where I think even with a debuff, Side Strike can still probably take us out, and if it doesn't, we might still be in farm down range. But who knows, this game might still be winnable. They go for a Shadow Ball, though, so this is like rank 20. Kingperior is obviously more skilled than a rank 20 player, as evidenced by this undercharge to get farm on the Dialga, but it's still like the opponents are also like rank 20 or like near ace, so the quality of gameplay is not going to be as high. Now we send in Dialga, get the full farm down, and Dialga also farms down the Dragonite, and we do take that game. We see Rhyperior on the lead in the next battle. Now, This is not ideal, so we just send in Golem, and the opponent sends in Machamp. Now, this is really, really awkward, as we're kind of ABA weak to fighting. It's better that we have baited it out, because now Landorus can deal with it, but the Rhyperior will still end up getting a line against the Dialga if that's how the matchup goes. So we are forced to send in Landorus here, but it's still like not looking too good in this matchup. So now they can go for a move. They actually bait with a cross chop. Personally, I don't think you should do that, but now we can just win CMP with the Sanseer. Now, they should know that no move takes them out here because we didn't farm up to an Earthquake, and they do. They no-shield it, and now we're going to probably have to let this move go too. This is a Rock Slide. It's debuff, not going to do much. They go for another cross chop. Not entirely sure why, but they did. And now we're going to catch the cross chop on a Dialga. Interesting play. We are going to shield the cross chop, so not really a catch if you shield it, but now the opponent sends in a Charm Primarina. Now this is interesting, as we have Iron Head to hit for neutral, and I do think we farmed up enough for a Thunder here, so they might shield it. They do shield it. They might have thought it was a Thunder, and now we can just shield the Dialga, and hopefully we can make it to an Iron Head before they can make it to a Disarming Voice, because Landorus does not want to see a Charm user. So we can go for this Iron Head. This Iron Head should hit for some pretty nice damage. It gets them very low. And now we're actually going to get farmed down here. But looks like they weren't out of move. And now we're at back-to-back Sanseers. So now double Sanseers should take out a Rhyperior. So we can go for Sanseer number 1. And even if they get a move here, we win CMP. Doesn't look like it got a move anyways. But this Sanseer will take him out. So just charge up the Sanseer. Sanseer into the Rhyperior takes him out. And we do take that game. Alright, so into the next battle with a now different team, the level 50 Abomasnow, level 50 Darmanitan, and the level 50 Golem, which is somehow even spicier. And we see a Florges lead. Now we're going to send in Darmanitan, because Darmanitan is going to resist Florges' standard moveset, and now we're going to be able to go for a Rock Slide. Now Rock Slide was caught onto a Groudon, and they shielded it. So, not exactly a catch if you shield it, once again, but now we actually can go for another Incinerate, as the opponent throws a move. Now, Fire Punch doesn't take us out, and we do click the Rock Slide, probably thinking that we would guaranteed have that, not knowing if we had an Overheat or not. But unfortunately, Rock Slide doesn't take him out because we are debuffed. Now, they send in the Florges, and we send in the Golem. And now, if they have Petal Blizzard, we just get taken out. But they go for a Disarming Voice, so I guess not. And they send in Zekrom. Now, we're going straight for an Earthquake, and Earthquake does huge damage. Now, we farm them down before they are able to farm us down, I think. Or they just got nervous. But they go for a Wild Charge, and now we just send in a Abomasnow, and we're up energy and a shield, and we tank at least one Disarming Voice. So, Disarming Voice hits pretty hard because this Abomasnow is like 2,700 combat power. But we can tank one, shield the next, and we should have back-to-back Weather Balls here, so even if they shield the first one, the next one will probably take him out, or at least come close. It might not take him out because Florges is very bulky, but we go for the Weather Ball, and it just gets him into farm down range. They make another move here because Florges is bulky, but we are able to just shield the Disarming Voice and get the farm down, and we do take that game. We see Kyogre on the lead in the next battle, and like this is the thing about Abomasnow. Like it's run in the Great League because it core breaks like Dragon Water cores. It also does the same in the Master League. Like in the Great League it targets like the Altaria Lantern. In the Master League it targets like the Kyogre, Dragonites, and stuff like that. When the opponent goes for a Thunder, I was not expecting that, and now we go for a Weather Ball. Weather Ball is not going to take him out because Abomasnow, once again, 2,700 combat power, but it is able to get him into farm down range, and, well, we are down a shield. The opponent sends in Dragonite, so this is Ice-type damage. We should get that shield back pretty fast. Now, we're going to be able to go for another Weather Ball, and this won't take him out because, once again, 2,700 combat power. But we do get the shield because the opponent doesn't really realize that. They just saw double super effective and thought shield. But now we send in Golem, and Golem's going to be able to go for Stone Edge. Stone Edge nearly takes him out. It doesn't, but we're going to be able to let this move go through. The opponent goes for the superpower, which does take us out. But now we send in Darmanitan, and the opponent sends in Tyranitar. They're on Bite. So I'm not exactly sure why, but we can actually go for a Rock Slide here. And Rock Slide should get them into range where another one will take them out. So I think if they're running Smackdown, we just lose. But now, the opponent sends in Dragonite, and I'm not sure if they lagged out or something there, but I think they could have farmed us down, but I think Abomasnow farms them down first anyways, so even if they lagged out there, I think the game is over. We see a Dragonite lead in the next battle, and Now we're going to be able to go for a Weather Ball throwing on good timing, and we're going to be able to go for this Weather Ball getting a shield, obviously, and now the opponent tries to catch or something on the Melmetal, and we send in Darmanitan, and we were able to get a full Incinerate through. Now they go for a Rock Slide. Darmanitan is reputed for being glassy, and unfortunately that means that another Rock Slide will take us out, but the Thunder Shocks might not take us out. We're just going to let them take us out, though, because it's not worth trying to get to another move and just getting farmed out by a Thunder Shock, but we're going to take our shield advantage and send in Golem. Now, they're going to be able to go for a move here. They go for a Rock Slide. I'm not entirely sure why, but probably thinking they make another move so they can go for the Superpower Bend, but they don't. Now we can just go for a Stone Edge, guaranteeing a shield, and we have a Weather Ball and a ton of energy, so we go for the Weather Ball, get the Snipe, and in the back, they have Togekiss. Now, Togekiss is going to be taking Super Effective from Weather Ball, but these Charms look like they're hitting for Super Effective because of how glassy Abomasnow is. Now, these two Weather Balls are able to get them very low, and he's going for the Earthquake. Oh, come on, man. That's just really disrespectful. The opponent looks like they force quit the app, but Earthquake takes him out, and we do take that game. We see Abomasnow in a Giratina Alter in the next battle. This is a good lead on paper, but it would be better to have Icy Wind here just so we could lower the incoming damage, as they can go for Dragon Claw, and I think a Weather Ball is still not going to do as much damage as those Shadow Claws than Dragon Claw did. The Weather Ball doesn't get him into the yellow, and we're in the yellow, so that does show that Abomasnow's combat power is kind of a limiting factor on it, despite its very cool type. But now, we're going to be able to go for Weather Ball, still not going to take him out. We do catch the next Dragon Claw and Golem. Now, Golem is going to tank the Dragon Claw, and we might go for a full Fire Knot here. The opponent then sends in Dragonite, though, and it's probably good that we see it here instead of on the Darmanitan, and it's probably good that we also preserved Abomasnow. And we are going to be able to tank one Dragon Claw, I think, and one Dragon Tail, meaning we make it to another Stone Edge. Now, this Stone Edge should be grabbing a shield or doing heavy damage. Looks like it did the heavy damage, and now we can go for a Weather Ball. This should take him out, and the opponent sends in the Giratina, and the Giratina is insanely low, so I think one Incinerate takes him out. So I'm expecting an instant switch. They do instantly switch, and it's Metagross, so unfortunately for them, they're just getting fully Incinerate farmed down because Meteor Mash or Psychic, for some reason, they're not making two of them, and we can just go for a full farm down on the Giratina. They make a Dragon Claw here, or at least I hope it's a Dragon Claw. If it was an Ancient Power, we could take it out, but Dragon Claw doesn't take us out, and we are able to take that game. We see a Dragonite lead in the next battle. How original. Now, we do outpace him to a Weather Ball, and the opponent tries to catch on a Groudon. Now, we don't really have a good response to the Groudon, as both of our back Pokemon lose to it, but we're going to just send in Darmanitan anyways. Now, we're going to Shield, and Precipice Blades gets shielded, thankfully, and the opponent throws on pretty poor timing. I think that's 4 extra turns energy, and they go for a Fire Punch. Now, Darmanitan's not that glassy, and so we can go for a Rock Slide. Rock Slide does not take him out, but one Incinerate might. And we're going to let this go because this should be another Fire Punch, and it should be resisted. Fire Punch does not take us out, and we leave with an Overheat. Regardless of what they send in, Overheat hits for some nice damage. So, we go for the Overheat. The opponent shields it, probably think it's a Rock Slide, and now we send in Abomasnow and get the Snipe with the Weather Ball. This won't take him out, but it'll hit for heavy damage, and the opponent actually stays in. Now we're going to let it go through, probably letting Golem sweep. They go for a Superpower, takes us out. We're going to send in Golem, probably try and go for a full farm down. Unfortunately, Mudshot's double resisted, so they do make a move, and we're going to have to shield it. But we can just shield it, Dragon Claw, gets shielded, and we get a full farm down. Now, what do they have in the back? And they have a Dialga. Now, unfortunately for them, this probably is game over, unless they make it to an Iron Head. But we try and catch, and we don't get the catch, but the opponent, if they didn't make it to an Iron Head there, I don't know what they were doing, but I thought that was enough for an Iron Head. Regardless, we take that game. Into the next battle, and we lead Abomasnow into Garchomp. Obviously, very good lead as we're an Ice type into a Dragon Ground type. And the opponent does make it to a move, unfortunately, and they probably are full sending an Outrage. They actually go for the Sand Tomb. Not entirely sure why, but they did. Now, they then send in a Dragonite, and we're going to pivot Golem. Now, the opponent farms up, and then they make a very nice catch of the Stone Edge onto a Melmetal. But the thing is, we probably still needed an Earthquake and another move to take him out anyways, so this really isn't the worst thing, as they can go for Superpower, but it doesn't take us out, and now we can just go for an Earthquake, taking them out. Now, they send in the Dragonite, get some nice farm, and we're just going to send in Darmanitan, and these Incinerates are going to hit for some very nice damage. Now they can go for a Dragon Claw, and now we're actually going to catch the move. They're probably trying to snipe, but we actually catch a Draco. Draco, well, that would probably take out Darmanitan. Like, let's be real, that probably one-shots it. But we caught it, so we do take that game. Very interesting lead in the next battle. We see a Dialga on the lead. We pivot into Golem, and the opponent sends in Ho. That is not a response to a rock type. We go for the Stone Edge, and now the opponent's going to go for a move. We're actually going to no-shield it. Interesting play. They go for Sacred Fire. Sacred Fire doesn't take us out, and now we're going to be able to go for another Stone Edge. Now we get both shields, but I still don't see how we win this, as Incinerate will basically two-shot a Abomasnow, but we actually make it to another Stone Edge. So all of a sudden in this game, we have both shields and switch advantage, proving that Golem is kind of a beast. Now the opponent throws on alignment. I did mention the ace rank, right? They go for an Iron Head, and now we're going to go for an Overheat. Now Darmanitan, this probably one-shots, let's be real. Takes him out, and in the back they have Xerneas. Now we're going to be able to go for a Weather Ball, and Weather Ball is not going to do a lot, because Xerneas is like 1,000 combat power higher than this thing, but it's still damage, and we'll take it. Now we're going to go for another Weather Ball. This might get him into the yellow. It does, and they can go for a close combat here. I think they need one to take us out. They go for the close combat, taking us out, but now these Incinerates are just going to hit for heavy damage. So we can shield it. It's another close combat, and the Incinerate will do heavy damage. We make it to a Rock Slide, though. Rock Slide will take him out, especially with the debuff, and we do take that game. Second worst lead, only second to Ho, and Arcanine on the lead. Now we send in Golem immediately, and the opponent stays in for a bit and then sends in Metagross. Now this energy advantage might actually mean this matchup is flippable. We go for an EQ, opponent shields it. Now if they try and go for a full farm down, we make another Earthquake. Now we actually click the Stone Edge here and we lost CMP, so we are just going to let that go, because if they did no shield that, we would have just wasted the shield because the Stone Edge would not do much. Regardless, we can just send in Darmanitan. Darmanitan gets a full farm down, and we leave with a ton of energy. They then send in the Arcanine. They must really have something in the back that's really weak to Darmanitan if they're sending in the Arcanine, because we have Rock Slide. Rock Slide gonna hit for some pretty nice damage. And now we're just gonna let this move go through. It's a crunch. It doesn't take us out. So many 1 HP survives in this video. It's actually crazy. Then in the back they have Togekiss, and Togekiss not gonna like Weather Balls, so we're going to be able to go for Weather Ball number 1. This should get him pretty close to the yellow. Does a lot. Looks like an underleveled Togekiss, considering that Weather Ball did a lot more damage than it did to previous Togekiss. But now we can go for the second Weather Ball, taking out the Togekiss, and we do take that game. Overall, Golem actually looks to be pretty fun to use. It's just interesting because it's kind of a Pokemon similar to Landorus, but has better play into Ho, but still does very well in the Dialga, which is something that is kind of unique. Like, I think something like Palkia, well, it does do very well in the Ho, it doesn't do as well into Dialga. So Golem being able to do something and like kind of core break Dialga Ho teams like that is interesting. So I do think this Pokemon is actually something that I might consider building eventually, but I just need like XLs. Anyways, that's pretty much it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.